Just a few minutes ago, I was out here looking for my old pruning shears. Wanted to tend to some flowers in the yard. I walked around this house, turned over a few cushions, searched all over, and I just couldn't find 'em. Then I stopped, looked up at this empty, dead, silent living room, and a strange feeling hit me. I had completely forgotten what I was even looking for in the first place. You know, when you get to be my age, those sudden moments of just blanking out, where your mind goes completely white. Ha ha, they start happening a whole lot more than you care to admit. And as I sat down in my chair, it got me thinking. Nobody ever really warns you about the harshest, most brutal part of growing old. It's not about how many wrinkles show up on your face, and it ain't about your legs not carrying you like they used to. No. The real kicker is when you look around one day and suddenly realize a lot of folks are just gone. That's a hard thing to accept. It didn't wash away in some big dramatic storm either. It happened real slow, little by little, like water slowly leaking out of a cracked bucket. On days you weren't even paying attention. It just leaked away. The old neighbors who used to fill the evening air with noise and the smell of dinner, they've all moved away or passed on. The old buddies you used to swap stories with over a few drinks, the ones who'd stay out all night with you and never complain, their names. One by one, they've gone completely gray in your phone's address book. They're never going to light up again, even your own kids. Throughout the year, you mostly just hear from them on certain holidays, sending a few cold, polite text messages that read more like official memos from a boss. To be honest with you, these days, even the telemarketers call with more warmth. And somewhere along that road, without you even noticing, you just stop. You're no longer that young fella on the street looking at old folks and thinking death is a lifetime away. You've become the old-timer sitting at a faded desk, desperately trying to catch a shred of warmth from your memories. Truth is, nobody tells you that the real battle of aging isn't the gray hair. It's this silent, piece by piece, stripping away of everything you knew. Now, I'm not here today to preach to you or give you some grand lecture. I just want to talk to you about how, in this quiet house, I finally came to terms with the foolish mistakes of my past. If you're sitting out there right now, holding a grudge or silent treating someone in your family, I reckon you ought to listen to this old man's regret. Because maybe, just maybe, you still have time. I'm pushing 80 now, and let me tell you, when that first digit of your age flips into the late 70s and starts staring at 80, that number stops being just a statistic. It becomes a mirror staring back at you every single morning, whispering, "Hey, buddy, your life balance is running low." But the funny thing is, as I sit here today, my mind and my spirit feel sharper than they did when I was 40 or 50, running around doing business and chasing folks. Heck, looking into this camera lens, I tell you, I'm in better shape mentally than I was 10 years ago for real. I guess I finally wised up. People always ask, what's the true sign of someone who actually lived and learned? Is it making a mountain of cash? Is it having a house packed with grandkids and having the folks in town look up to you? For me, living smart just means I finally rid myself of that worthless vanity and that damn stubborn pride that used to rule my life. Back in the day, I had a mean streak, a real rotten temper, and I always had to win. If I was out on the job and someone stepped on my toes or gave me a raw deal, I'd put on a big smile, shake their hand, and let it slide. I acted so big and generous out there, but the minute I got home, if the soup my wife poured was just a little too cold, or if the floor wasn't swept right, I'd throw a fit, pull a long face, and sour the whole room with a silent treatment all night long. Back then, I figured home was a safe place. I thought you could throw stones inside your own house, smash things up, and because it was family, nobody would get hurt. Now that I'm at an age where I'm terrified of taking a bad spill just walking out the front door, I look at this white hair in the mirror and, Lord, I want to slap my younger self. What good does it do you to win against the whole world out there when the people inside are gone? All that damn pride you defended so hard. Right now, it ain't even worth a piece of scrap paper to wipe away your tears. Because when you're old, funny thing is, the arguments I thought I won, those are the ones I remember the most now. And I wish to God I'd handled them differently. Take lunchtime today, for instance. Finished eating, and I started clearing the dishes to take 'em over to the sink like I always do. But out of sheer blind habit, I reached into the cabinet and pulled out a second set of plates and silverware to set across from me. And I just froze. I just stood there looking at my hands. You see that rocking chair across from me? It's been empty for 3 whole years now. The cushions on it are faded and worn down, still got the patch she made with her own hand stitched right on it. 3 years ago, on a plain Tuesday afternoon, my wife and I got into it over some little trivial thing that makes me want to kick myself. Just thinking about it now. I think I put too much salt in the cooking, or maybe she forgot to pick up the newspaper I wanted when she went out to the store. Doesn't matter. We started bickering. It wasn't a screaming match, just that stubborn, childish silence we both knew how to weaponize. She just sighed, looked real tired, sat back in that rocking chair and said, "I'm tired. I'm going to close my eyes for a bit. Wake me up for supper." I was still stewing, had this foolish anger in my belly, so I turned my back to her and started messing around with my old radio, pretending she wasn't even there. Didn't even look at her. I thought to myself, fine, let's see who blinks first. Let's see who talks first. It was supposed to be just another ordinary plain afternoon in our 40 years of marriage. I figured by dinner time she'd wake up on her own, complain about my sour attitude, and head into the kitchen to start the stove. But 2 hours later, the room started getting dark, and she hadn't moved. When I walked over to wake her up and tapped her on the shoulder, my hand started shaking. She was already cold. The doctors later said it was an acute cardiac arrest. It took her so fast, so quiet. She didn't leave behind a single word, not even a final look to say goodbye. In that moment, It felt like lightning struck my chest. My ears were ringing. I stared at her peaceful face, looking like she was just taking a nap, with that broken radio still clutched in my hand. I shook her, trying so hard to wake her up. I wanted to yell, "I'm sorry. It was my fault. The salt didn't matter. The newspaper didn't matter. None of it matters. Just open your eyes." But no matter how loud I begged, how loud I cried, the only sound in that dead, silent, lonely house was the empty hiss of static coming from the old radio. That unresolved argument, that stupid silence got frozen into that afternoon forever. It was from that day on that I truly understood how easily things can break. When we're young, we always assume life is this long, endless highway. We think that if we can't get over a hurdle today, or if we have a bad fight, well, we can just sleep on it, and tomorrow there'll be plenty of time to explain, to make amends, to put a smile back on our faces. But the grand script of life doesn't ask you for permission. At this stage of the game, when you're standing near the edge, your friends, your loved ones, they don't line up and give you a proper goodbye before they leave. They don't give you time to get ready. They just drift away. They often just step out on a regular Tuesday to buy a pack of cigarettes, or they close their eyes for a nap like my wife did, and they just never come back. The chapters of your life, they aren't always turned by your own hand when you're ready. Sometimes time just slams the book shut with a loud thud, leaving you without a single chance to fix a single word. If you live to be 80 and you keep words like "I'll do it tomorrow" or "I'm sorry" locked away in a drawer because of your pride, your last years are going to be nothing but a rough page filled with mistakes you can never rub out. A year after she passed, I was a walking ghost. I sat right here in this chair, day in and day out, not moving a muscle. I was eaten alive by guilt, and I was terrified that any moment my own breath would catch and it'd be my turn to kick the bucket. But then I was sorting through some of her old things in the back of the closet, and I came across a diary she kept when we were newlyweds. The pages were yellow and old, but near the back she wrote a line with an old ink pen. It said, "May we always forgive each other before the sun goes down." I sat on that cold floor, and the tears just wouldn't stop. I realized right then that I couldn't keep choking myself with that final silence. That wasn't what she wanted for me. My body might be slowing down and my time is short, but the hours I have left can't be wasted on stupid pride anymore. So I started planting flowers in the yard. I forced myself to learn new routines, and I even figured out how to set up this machine, sit in front of this lens, and talk to you folks, most of you strangers' kids I've never met. It's not that I'm not scared of dying anymore. It's just that I decided to live every single day like it's my absolute last. So, if you were to ask me what the greatest piece of wealth is that I can leave behind for you, it ain't advice on how to make money or beat the system. It's just 3 words: leave no regrets. Say what needs to be said before the sun goes down. Losing my wife taught me that the scariest trap in this life is living like there's always a tomorrow. I know how the younger generation is today, and I know how stubborn folks like me can be. You get into a spat with your family and you want to patch things up, but the words get stuck in your throat because you think whoever speaks first loses. Take a lesson from this old-timer who spent a lifetime being foolish. You don't need a self-help book. Tonight, right now, pick up the phone and make the call. Even if you don't know what to say, just ask, "Hey, it's getting chilly out. You keeping warm?" Or, "Did you eat supper yet?" The second you open your mouth, the ice starts to melt. It makes this old heart glad just knowing that you folks out there are still young, that your lives are wide open, and you still have the chance to reach out and hold the people next to you while they're still there to be held.